All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the second steering committee meeting. My name is Melanie Rodriguez. I'm a planner here at the RGVMPO, and I'm helping leading this Safe Streets for All initiative. Do we want to go around and introduce ourselves?
Well, I'm not shy. I'm Tom Reina. I'm one of the assistant city managers for the city of Edinburgh. I'm in charge of public infrastructure.
Thanks, Tom.
Good morning.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning. This is Benjamin Warsham with Cameron County, Director of Transportation.
Good morning, Adana de los Santos from Cameron County Department of Transportation.
My name is Eva Garcia. I'm with the RGVMPO, Planet 3.
Good morning, Claudia Olmedo with Valley Metro. I'm one of the planners here.
Good morning. This is John with City of McAllen and Metro McAllen.
Unayan Amin with TJKM. I'm the project manager helping out RGB MPO to develop the Safe Streets for All plan.
Aldo Fritz from TJKM.
Kathy Chambers from Moore and Associates.
Ruta Terivala TJKM.
Good morning, I'm Albert Aldana, the city engineer for City of Wasaco.
Burisam Moda, RGB MPO.
Do we have anyone from TechDot?
Hi, good morning. This is Edgar Perez from TechDot for district.
How about Star County? Anyone joining us today from City of Brownsville?
And good morning. Yes, this is Johnny Pena, City of Brownsville. I'm a project manager.
Do we have anyone from City of Harlingen? Melanie, are we missing anyone?
Hello, we have Robert Ordaz, citizen at large, Westlaco.
Okay.
I think we can proceed. If you all haven't introduced yourselves, you can also put that in the chat. All right, going over the agenda. Item 1 is welcome. Item 2, I will provide the project introduction and briefly describe the role of the steering committee. Item 3, I will go over the 4 project goals. Item 4, Nayan from the TJKM team will go over the scope of work. Item 5, Nayan will address the schedule. Item 6, Nayan will provide the preliminary collision analysis for our region. Item 7, we will open it up for discussion on the areas of concern or focus. Item 8, we will discuss any other items. Next slide, please. All right, so the RGV was awarded SS4A funding to develop a regional comprehensive safety action plan for all modes of transportation. The steering committee will be playing a crucial role in developing and identifying the safety initiatives and strategies for all modes of transportation within the RGV by providing valuable input about the region so that we can define a safety action plan that enhances safety for all modes of transportation. Next slide. All right, goal 1 is to systemically implement proven safety solutions, initiatives, policies, and programs to eliminate preventable fatal and severe collisions by 2050. Goal 2 is to utilize a multifaceted approach that spans jurisdictions and encompasses diverse strategies, including engineering, education, and enforcement. Goal 3 is to implement improvements that promote promote and support safe travel for vulnerable users, including people walking and biking, children, seniors, and people with disabilities. Goal 4 is to ensure that multimodal safety investments are made in a manner that is fair and equitable for all residents. Next slide. Nayan will be going over the scope of work. Nayan?
Thank you, Melanie. I was muted and talking to myself. Sorry for that. The key components of the scope of the work to develop the Safe Streets for All action plan is to review the existing conditions, the existing policies, regulations, ongoing projects, and funding, developing the vision and goal statement, conducting crash analysis and identifying the high injury network within the counties of Cameron, Hidalgo, Starr, and city of Brownsville and Harlingen, based on the data, crash data from text.crash system. Conduct a communication and engagement plan, which would include community engagement as well as the stakeholder engagement, identifying the same safe system priorities once the high injury network is developed, and eventually identify the short-term, mid-term, and long-term strategies and projects that can be implemented to enhance the safety. In conducting all of these and identifying the projects, one of the key component is also looking at the equity and the land use, and finally develop the draft and final SS4A action plan. Some of the examples, and the reason I would like to share this is so that the stakeholder group or the committee has an expectations that what we would be presenting or we would be developing. As I mentioned, we would be conducting the collision analysis. This is an example from the Waco MPO in Texas. The project Ruth Jariwala on our team, she recently completed. And the one what I'm going to share is directly from the Waco MPO Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. Collision analysis would identify by the different modes of transportation, the collisions, identifying the fatal, serious injury, minor injury, as well as the possible injuries. And then this is an example of how your high injury network is going to be illustrated or is going to be identified. It would include roadways as well as the intersections. Based on the collision analysis conducted, we would be also developing the profiles that need to be addressed in order to enhance the transportation system for safety perspective for all modes of transportation. We would be, as I mentioned, that one of the key things we would be looking at is also considering the equity. We would identify the fatal and serious injuries within the disadvantaged communities. Based on all the analysis conducted on the collision and the emphasis area identified, we would be developing a safety toolkit, which is going to be something similar to this, identified for developed for signalized intersection as well as unsignalized intersections and roadway segments, which would provide a description of the countermeasure as well as what type of crash types it can address, the CRF values, the expected life, and whether they can be implemented on a systemic basis. These are the countermeasures for the roadway segments. And then once we identify the safety toolkit, we would be also developing the implementation, monitoring, and funding plan, which would identify the funding sources, who the funding agency is, how much amount of funding is available, when is going to be the next call for the project, and what are the applicable ease that you can consider to apply for this funding sources. An example of the implementation, monitoring, and funding plan, which would also identify the performance evaluation measures. So once you implement the safety measures, how you can monitor the performance of the safety measures for your agency. Based on the collision analysis and high injury network, we would be ranking the projects based on the prioritization matrix that would be developed in consensus with the steering committee. And we would start identifying the safety project, the top 10 safety projects. When we identify the safety projects, this is what you can expect. It would provide what the project is, project description, injury collision statistics, at the same time what the trends are that we are trying to mitigate, and it would also provide a planning level cost estimate. It's going to be all the material is going to include all the information that any agency would need for applying for the funding sources or for the grant application. Another example of the safety project and strategies. And with that, I would like to take a break and see if anyone has any questions on the scope of work or on the deliverables, what I shared with. It looks like City of Edinburgh. Tom has a question.
Yes, sir. I have put it in the chat. I'm sorry if I missed it, but I had a phone call. All these roadways are going to be analysis. Is it through all types of roadways within the MPO, or is it going to be only certain particular ones, high ADTs or anything like that?
So we would be looking at the, that's a good question. We would be excluding the text dot maintained facilities. However, so those are the roadways that are going to be excluded. And then we would be looking at the county level, all the roadways that are within any particular county. And we would be also looking at a city level for city of Harlingen and Bronzeville.
The only reason I ask is just if the text dot roadways are going to be excluded, those are all our main thoroughfares through our city. They're a little different than everybody else. And those are the areas that we see more pedestrian items on there. So I was hoping that would help address that.
our scope of work identifies for us to look at the unincorporated roadways, roadways located within the unincorporated areas of the county. And one of the reasons why text dot roadways are excluded, because when we look at the text dot facilities, it's going to change the trends and the emphasis area, and we might be not able to address uh, the issues, what we need to mitigate or enhance it uh, within the RGV MPO, the roadways that are maintained by the counties.
Nayan, do we want to go back to the previous slides on the examples you had for Waco?
Which
For the collision analysis?
is this the one?
Yeah, so that's something, that's an example of what we're thinking about incorporating before our plan.
That's correct.
Yeah, I just would like to add one thing that for Waco, we did have, like in our scope of work, we did had separate analysis for text dot as well as, if we are working with city or county, then separate it out for city facilities as well as county facilities. In this case, we'll have it separate, just like Waco, but it's not going to be text dot and city, but it's going to be city and county instead.
Correct. And I think that this,
go ahead. Oh, go ahead. All right, just real quickly, along those thoughts about the on system versus off system. To our knowledge, do we know if the FAR district is doing their own analysis, and if anything, just to have it for reference? Because I know there's people are on the stakeholder table that might be interested in it, but I completely understand that this is off system. Texas kind of has their own pots of money for these things, but it'd be interesting to see if there's been anything done by Texas as well that we can at least kind of check off against, right? That we're kind of looking at things maybe in a similar or different fashion. I mean, off system versus on system are very distant facilities.
If I understand you correctly, you are saying that when we do look at the projects in and around, and if TextDot has done some projects within the area where we are going to recommend projects, you want us to look into what are the countermeasures or type of projects that TextDot has implemented so that we can be on the kind of on the same page with them and learn from that. Is that what you're intending?
Not so much just to be on the same page, but yeah, just so that people have an understanding of what kind of countermeasures, what other things are people in the area doing, mainly for that and nothing else.
Right. Yeah, we can definitely look at that. That if and we need help from this particular group to kind of make us aware of that. That there is another project going on, and here are the improvements of those projects that have been listed. And we definitely it is a very great idea to tie up with those improvements so that it looks like one system. For us, it is. I understand where you come from. For us, it is text dot and county and city. For a regular person who is riding a bike or walking or even driving, they don't care whose right of way they are riding. So yes, we will make that effort so that our improvements are kind of seamless and integrate with what is out there.
And Eric, on this, I brought the slide back on the scope of work. The first item on it is to evaluate the existing condition, which includes conducting a literature review of all the existing current policies, regulations, projects, and funding. So we are already looking into all the projects that have been completed or they are planned for. So we are synthesizing or summarizing, I would say, all the projects that are ongoing within the RGV MPO boundaries. So that document would guide us to make sure that the projects and the strategies what are being identified, they are consistent and in line with the other projects that are planned for, or they are under construction.
This is John with the city of McAllen. I heard everything. I think you guys understand what you're doing and the scope. But again, I just kind of want to lend my voice again to what Tom was saying, what Eric was saying. City of McAllen's got a draft out for their Vision Zero plan on safety, and such a huge chunk of that is on system roads. And I know again this is the scope for this one, but even a passing reference to the significance of safety, like you guys said, not really mattering who owns a road, but if we're already coming in here and at least having some sort of section, and we'll share that plan with you as soon as we can. I know it is in the draft kind of area right now, but as soon as we get to publishing that publicly, I'll make sure that you guys get a copy.
John, that would really help. Thanks for sharing that. Any other questions on the scope of work or the deliverables? Hearing none. Moving forward, the schedule for the project, we plan to submit the collision and the technical memorandum for the collision analysis by September 11th. And then in November, identify the safe system priorities as well as preliminary list of the actions and the strategies that we can consider for our comprehensive safety action plan, and then take the draft action plan to the board sometimes in February and have the final action plan adopted by the RGV MPO board in March. Along the way, there are going to be the stakeholder meetings, public open houses, BPAC meeting with the tech and the planning board. We are in meeting number 2 of the steering committee. We have identified the date for 3rd and 4th meeting and the 5th one to be determined for the steering committee. We conducted a public open house on June 5th, and the next one we are planning to hold it on September 25th. There are some BPAC and the tech meetings that have been identified on the slide, as well as when we plan to make presentations to the Transportation Planning Board. With that said, on the schedule as of today, where are we? The project website, we have developed it, and it's been running on the RGV MPO website, which would be updated as documents and more information is being developed. On the project website, we have also provided an interactive map tool that the community and the stakeholders can go and identify the locations where they have been experiencing safety issues. We have also submitted a draft technical memorandum on the literature review to RGV MPO. We have received the comments and we are finalizing the technical memorandum. Once it's finalized, it would be shared with the stakeholders. At the same time, it would be on the project website. The vision and goal statement, the draft has been submitted to the RGV MPO, and we have received some comments on it, and we would be finalizing that too. The same with the engagement plan, that a draft engagement plan has been submitted, got a feedback from RGV MPO on it, and we should be finalizing it. All the drafts, which includes the literature review, vision and goal, and the engagement plan, We envision them to be finalized by the end of this month. Said that, we have also downloaded we have downloaded the collision data from text.cris database, and this is a draft or a work in progress. I want to have a disclaimer on it. It's a preliminary collision analysis. We are still doing QA/QC to make sure that all the data we are using it is accurate. Based on our preliminary analysis, some major numbers within the RGB MPO boundaries on the excluding the state facilities, state maintained facilities, there has been about 26,619 collisions with more than 42,000 persons injured. Within the RGB MPO, there has been approximately 253 fatal injuries and 1,400 serious injuries recorded within the database. Within Cameron County, out of those 26,000, in Cameron County, there has been approximately 6,800 collisions with 55 resulting into fatality and 383 resulting into serious injuries. Within Hidalgo County, approximately 19,300 collisions with 191 fatality and serious injuries of approximately 981 collisions. Within the Starr County, the total number of collisions is approximately 435, 7 of them resulting into a fatal and 40 of them into a serious injury collisions. So that's our preliminary collision analysis. We have started looking into it, but as I said, these numbers are preliminary. There is a lot of QA/QC we need to perform at our end, and we expect that to be completed and by the early part of August, and we will start developing the profiles and the emphasis area that we can share at our next steering committee meeting. With that, I would like to open it up for the group to discuss any areas of concern or the project team should be aware of that we need to focus on.
And just to share, this is the input that we're looking for from our steering committee members. Melanie has shared the SS4 webpage that is in the RGVMPO website, and there is a Maptionary link as well to discuss areas of concern or focus. But if you have anything you'd like to highlight, this is region-wide. You know your community best. I think we saw the examples of what can be expected as part of these deliverables. So let us know what areas we should focus on. I'll just kind of chime in. I know I've heard from some of you. Robert Ordaz is on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. He is an advocate, a cyclist, and a runner, and he pointed out some signage that TxDOT has invented and some educational awareness on pedestrians safely crossing the road. So I think that's an area. Go ahead, Robert, if you have something to add.
No, if you got it, why don't you post it? Why don't you show it?
Yeah, I can drop the picture in the chat. I'm sure Melanie will do that for us in a second. But these are kind of the areas of concern for me. Maybe I feel personally that there's not enough educational awareness. Maybe because I'm not in elementary school, they don't teach you how to cross the road. But I think, the driver's education piece is, how do we interact with more cyclists, pedestrians? How do we navigate around transit, buses, or stops? I think this is comprehensive. It's for all modes, and it should be a comprehensive approach that's across jurisdictions. So chime in, guys. And yeah, Melanie just dropped the image Robert brought up to us.
I think that Eva's correct. This is John. Yes, on Friday I went with a friend on to Diego's on Pecan, and which is 495 Tex Dot Road, and there was a woman, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and she was riding her bike opposite the flow of traffic on the road at night. Like it was pitch black. And there's such a significant educational component to safety where I was kind of concerned. I mean, of course we can build the road faster, but I mean, I guess she just felt safe enough to be on the road going in the direction of cars with her child in tow. And that was, I don't know what happened. I hope she got home safe, but I'll emphasize that as well. I mean, I do wish we have I guess, an investment on proper bicycle facilities, but I don't know. So that's just my story and my 2 cents.
Thanks, John. Anyone else?
Just a quick question. How many of you, like within the agency, have some kind of a Vision Zero initiative going on? Just kind of a general question.
I think we might be the only one here at the city of McAllen. Right now we at the tail end of it, after all the scores, I actually pulled it up during this meeting and just to kind of give it a glance and make sure I got my comments out. It has several project areas of significance. A good chunk of them on our high-speed corridors and high traffic. So you're really looking at like 45, 55-mile-an-hour roads. Most of them are state. Yeah, we do have like a downtown area. But I guess that kind of leads to another comment I had, which is just kind of the planning and zoning and how that plays into safety. For us, we have such a huge amount of traffic on our state roads because we have all these, I mean, conflict points. And you're going to have more accidents there, you're going to have more roads, you're going to have faster people. And that's always been something I discuss, I guess, when I have the opportunity, is how we build out the environment.
Are any other agencies thinking of having their own Vision Zero plan and policy in this group?
Good morning. This is Johnny Pena with the City of Brownsville, and the City of Brownsville actually has a resolution for a Vision Zero plan. That plan is still in the early stages here in the City of Brownsville, but we are working on getting something like that launched in our city as well.
Is it just the policy or the action plan itself? Have you started the action plan, or you're still looking?
We have early drafts of the action plan. Yeah, we do have early drafts of the action plan. It's still very early. It's still subject to review, and we still want multiple stakeholders to review it as well. We haven't gotten that far, but we are working on an action plan.
Okay, and the policy is approved, or you will take the action plan and the policy together to get adopted?
Together, we will do it together.
Okay.
One, would it be possible, or do you have some preliminary schedule when you plan to have the draft that you can share with us of the action plan?
We have a draft essentially ready. It's not complete yet, but as soon as, I'm not too sure when we can complete it, but whenever we do complete it, yeah, we could share it.
If possible, we would like to have the draft action plan for Vision Zero shared with us, I would say, by the month of September. That would really help because by then we would have completed our collision analysis and we would start identifying the strategies and the projects, so we can make sure that we are not identifying something what you might have already identified.
Yeah.
Or not identifying something that is conflicting with the projects that you guys already have, penciled in.
Yes, that's not a problem.
We would
also, for agencies who are still thinking of or in process, or if even if you have a plan and if you want to make it more robust, there is another SS4A deadline coming up August 30th. So there's always an opportunity to put in your application and get some funds to either start a Vision Zero plan, action plan, or update it to make it more robust if you're in urge of more funds or things like that. So just something to keep in mind, that there's another August 30th deadline that you can still apply for a supplemental action plan that could be either Vision Zero or safety or comprehensive or whatever.
Eva, I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, but it's okay. Robert, you're sharing your screen. Why don't you go ahead and this is really more for the steering committee. We can chat later, Niam.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just doing my either running or walking here in Westlaco, and I was just glad to see the sign up. It's been posted on the Westlaco Running Club page, where a lot of people appreciate that this is taken into account, because again, it says stop for people in crosswalks, which it's just not just the people, it's also the cyclists. Like mentioned, they're going against traffic or going in the correct spots. That should be, we try to publicize as much as we can, with everybody that's walking and running, even make comments to people that we may not know. So this is downtown Westlaco on Texas, just not too far from Pueblo Tire and places like that. So it's great to see things like this. So that's why I thought I'd share it.
Thanks, Robert, for sharing.
You're welcome.
Aldo, you wanted to add?
Yeah, just a quick question on the Brownsville action plan. So did you guys do that in-house, or did you follow like the SS4A format, or is it a safety sort of maybe like a safety plan that's sort of similar to the SS4A process, but not exactly?
Yeah, it was done in-house. We did it here with with Chris data and just analysis and getting feedback from our biking community, our BPAC, and certain commissioners who are very involved in the biking and pedestrian communities here. And it was basically done like not on the Safe Streets for All plan, but it was done like on a general safety plan. So to answer your question, yes, it was done in-house.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm not sure if I should say this, but I know that I think Cameron County, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think Cameron County has some safety data or an analysis, maybe a plan. Mr. Worsham, I'm sorry to call on you, or maybe Eric, if he's still on. Do either of you have any information?
Hey, Eva, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry, I've been kind of multitasking today. So we do have a plan, and that we adopted through Commissioners Court in partnership with some of the communities here in the county. And we've also submitted, I guess this is the third time we submitted for implementation grants. And with our latest application going through, was it last month? I think it was last month. It's under review right now.
Thanks for that update.
Does anyone have any other areas of concern or focus or this team should know?
I'd kind of like to get feedback on a thought that I have regarding law enforcement. I know that I think we talk about, is it 3 E's or 4 E's, but it's usually like education, engineering, enforcement. And for me, I think, obviously we have all the engineers on board, and through the technical advisory committee, we can work on projects and funding projects. Education seems to be like there seems to be a budget for it with our safety funds, working collaboratively with our state partners. But when it comes to enforcement across jurisdictions, that is an area I'd like to focus on. How do we address our first responders, everybody from EMS, to actually getting, like John Ray mentioned, somebody going the wrong way? It's not that we want to give a lot of citations, but how do we use enforcement as a safety strategy, I suppose. I'd be curious to hear the steering committee's input.
Well, I think before we have PD start enforcing some of those issues, unless it's a life safety issue type item, they have 1,000 other things they have to look out for. I think it's important for us to do some sort of educational piece first, and then start enforcing after that. Give everybody an opportunity to see that in some form or fashion before it. This is a great example when we did our Safe Pass ordinance. We announced, we pushed out, and so forth, and then we started enforcing, and then basically fizzles out after that. And I don't want the same issue that happened to this to fizzle out because of all the other issues that PD does have to face. I think it's vital for us to start that educational piece again and see if, how we can start attacking it at that end before we do actual hardcore enforcement.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Tom. I definitely I know that there's a lot for them to look into. I guess it's just, I know Brownsville had, I don't know if they still have a bike, if a bike team, a police team, a bike police team. Anyway, I think,
Yeah, we
yeah,
still
it's just,
do.
right?
Yeah, we still do.
What do you all
Yeah,
call
yeah, we
them?
still do.
What do you call them?
Actually, I don't know what their official name is, so but we do
Anyway,
have.
but okay, cool. Me too. I don't
They're
know their official
actually
name.
they're helping with the 100 days of safety thing that we have in Brownsville. Last year, the MMT held that event, or we had that initiative, but this year the police department is actually promoting education to the public and stuff like that.
Exactly. And just for everyone's sake, MMT is the Multimodal Transportation Department. But it was them last year encouraging the 100 Days of Safety campaign. And this year, the police department took it on. So I think and again, I agree with you, Tom. I don't think like it's the entire PD force, but I think if we could find those areas to focus on and see where it fits, maybe it's with the outreach, the officers that do outreach, et cetera, but just wiggling in a little wedge in there. And I'm sorry, Aldo, is your hand up? Is it still up, or did you have something to add?
Oh no, I was just stretching. No, I'm playing. No, yes, I just forgot to put it down on the previous question.
Melanie, can you take over?
Yeah, so we will have the next steering committee meeting held in person at the LRGVDC Ken Jones Boardroom in Wesarco on Thursday, October 10th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I'll see you guys all there. Is there any other items from the TJKM team?
Melanie, can you send out the calendar invite so we can have those?
Yes, I will do that after this meeting.
I guess the only thing I want to add is that Melanie shared the link, the MapShare link, and I think this to me is another great way. Share it, especially Tom, share it with your team, whether it's PD, engineering, Johnny with Brownsville, the Cameron County sharing this with like a broad number of stakeholders that have different focus areas, I think will help us get a better comprehensive action plan. Just my 2 cents. So if you could just do that between now and October, that would be super helpful.
I did want to add that on October 10th, this is going to be held after the TAC meeting. So it's going to be there at the boardroom. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you all in the next meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.